Hey, what's up you guys, back with another video. I just thought I'd do something a little fun today. These tier lists have been really popular, so I thought, hey, I'm gonna do one on the MCU characters. And you know, because I've recently been just shitting on Game of Thrones, ripping in a new asshole, and doing a Marvel Future Fight content. So today let's do something fun, let's do something just brainless, and that's me ranking all the MCU heroes based on their, not say level of importance, but how good the character arcs have been, how good the actors portray the characters. And yeah, that's about it, just those two criteria, and how much, I wouldn't say how much I like them, just I'm gonna put them in the spots they deserve based on those criteria. So without further ado, I'm gonna start with Ant-Man. Ant-Man is amazing, okay? Paul Rudd's portrayal of the character is top class. Funny, he's well written, and he's been quite an important part of the MCU. I wouldn't cast anyone else as Ant-Man. I don't know if it's true to the comics, but I don't care. I don't really read Ant-Man comics, so for what's been shown to us thus far, Ant-Man is in the amazing tier. I think right after Ant-Man, I would put Black Panther behind him, because I do like Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. I do like the arc that T'Challa goes through, but I think we still need to see more of the character, because we, as people, I think we would relate and love Ant-Man more than the Black Panther. Which, well, that's for me. I don't know about you, but I do like Ant-Man in the MCU more than the Black Panther. But I definitely look forward to seeing more of the Black Panther. And like I said, Chadwick Boseman, amazing as T'Challa. So Black Panther is in the amazing tier right after Ant-Man. Black Widow, I think she sits comfortably in the great tier. Scarlett Johansson does do a pretty decent job as Natasha Romanoff. And although she hasn't had her own solo movie, I think the arcs that have been presented to us that have been scattered through Civil War, Avengers Endgame, and the various Avengers films has been pretty decent, pretty good thus far. So I think, and also because of her death, she does deserve to at least be in the great tier. I think she sits comfortably in the great tier. Chris Evans, Captain America, easily irreplaceable. No questions, no doubt about it. Chris Evans is amazing as Captain America, and he's had one of the best character developments in the MCU. He went from this goody two-shoes, practically Stark of Winterfell guy who's just so honorable, to being the sneaky cunt who was able to say Hail Hydra to steal the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame. Sorry, not the Tesseract, the Mind Stone, the Scepter. And he is irreplaceable. I am super sad to see him go as Captain America. We most likely will never see Chris Evans don the uniform and the shield, which is pretty sad. But for what has been shown to us thus far, easily irreplaceable, top class Chris Evans. Next is Captain Marvel. Automatic meh. The character is boring. Brie Larson's portrayal as her is okay, but it's pretty forgettable, and the character herself is so unlikable. While she's powerful and does have a really cool suit and set of powers, she just comes off as snobby, arrogant, and she's kind of a dick. Although she was pretty cool at the end of Endgame, there needs to be more shown to this character. She needs to be better written, because currently she just seems, I don't want to say it, but she seems to be a Mary Sue. There's no weakness. Every other character on this list has a weakness, has shown vulnerability, but Captain Marvel has zero. Come on, guys. Every character has a weakness, no matter who they are, and she is just unfun, you know. No, she's automatic meh. If I were to make a new tier irreplaceable, she would be sitting in that tier. But for now, she's in meh because I'm too lazy to make another tier. Next is Doctor Strange. I put him in irreplaceable under Captain America. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is irreplaceable as Doctor Strange. I wouldn't cast anyone else, and he has done a good job with the character. He does a good job portraying the character, you know, with his magic and the mystic arts, and he's a very believable Sorcerer Supreme. Gosh damn, I would not cast anyone else. And for the arcs that have been presented to us in Doctor Strange, Infinity War, and Endgame, I think he'll be a very important part of the MCU. I would put him as the new leader of the Avengers, in fact. I don't know if he's ever been the leader in the comics, but yeah, for what I've seen thus far, he deserves to be the leader, and he's definitely in second place in the irreplaceable tier. Next is Drax. Drax is just good, okay? He cracks the occasional oddball but hilarious joke, and Bautista is pretty great as Drax, but he's not super duper important. They started him off as this really serious, macabre character who wants to kill Ronan and Thanos for murdering his family, but that really declined very quickly, and he just turned into a comic relief character. But yeah, I look forward to see more Drax. As a member of the Guardians, he is irreplaceable. It'd be kind of weird to see the Guardians without him, but Drax he sits comfortably in the good tier. Next is Falcon. I'll put him under Black Widow and great. I love Anthony Mackie's portrayal. I feel like we haven't seen enough of the character, but with what's been presented to us thus far, he's fun, he's cool, and he's got really good chemistry with the Winter Soldier, so I think he'll be pretty good in that TV show. So Falcon deserves to be in great. Next is Gamora. Gamora, I'd put him under Falcon in the great tier because she's had an amazing arc. Zoe Saldana does a pretty damn good job of portraying the character, and her death was a little bit sad. I wouldn't say super sad because I don't really super care for the character, but her story is pretty well written and her portrayal is damn good, so I would say she at least deserves the great tier. Groot, I put Groot under Batista in the good tier simply because not Batista, Drax, because I like Drax a little more. Drax is a little funnier. But okay, wait, no, Groot above Drax because Groot is more helpful, and I think he's a more irreplaceable member of the Guardians, and Vin Diesel does a pretty good job as Groot, although I have to say that I think anyone can voice the Groot character. Come on guys, it's not that hard. Okay, maybe it is. Please don't add me. Maybe I can't do it, okay? I'm not gonna attempt to try, and yeah, okay, whatever. Groot is in the good tier. Next is Hawkeye. Hawkeye is above Groot and Drax in the good tier because previously, before Endgame, I thought that he was a pretty forgettable character. He's just this cool archer guy, but his arc in Endgame was amazing, and like I said in my review, he didn't really strike a chord with me until Endgame, but Endgame really propelled this character from meh to good. In fact, I think he borders between great and good, but I've got to put him in the good tier. Next is Hulk. Hulk, I would put just under Black Widow and above Falcon in the great tier. I think his arc needs to be wrapped up with a proper conclusion, because the directors did say that his arc would be wrapped up in Endgame. It's a 3-story arc. I think Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame, but I feel like it wasn't done enough justice. Hulk isn't done enough justice, and while the arc is interesting and funny, it just isn't done yet. And stop nerfing the Hulk. We want to see Hulk smash shit hardcore. He's one of the most powerful characters in the comics, okay? Stop that. Next is Iron Man. He is the top of the irreplaceable tier. Cap, move. Cap. Okay, there you go. Top of the irreplaceable tier. The best. Robert Downey Jr. portrays this character beautifully. Irreplaceable. No one else can play him. Tom Cruise is Iron Man. Get that shit out of here. No. Iron Man also goes through an amazing arc in the entire span of the MCU. He goes from this total dick to someone who is willing to lay his life on the line for the good of the universe. So definitely top tier, definitely irreplaceable. My favorite character in the MCU, actually no, my favorite is Ant-Man, but he's a close second. Next is Korg. Korg sits at the bottom of the good tier because he's funny. Taika Waititi does a solid job with the character, but he's not, I wouldn't really consider him to be in the pantheon of MCU heroes, but hey, since he's here in this tier list, this is not a tier list that I made, the format, I think he sits pretty comfortably and good. Next is Loki. I would put Loki at the tippy top of the good tier. He's almost great because MCU Loki started off good, this character with turmoil, with a tragic backstory, but he very quickly declined into a comic relief character, complete comic relief. Loki is treated as a joke after the first Avengers movie, and his powers, his moveset from the comics, completely ignored. Loki loses in a fight to Valkyrie. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's just not happening. While I think Valkyrie is cool, Loki is super powerful. So what happened to all of his abilities from the comics? So yeah, Loki sits at the top of the good tier. Next is Mantis. Mantis will sit just above Korg in good. I think she's a pretty decent addition to the Guardians, although she's the most replaceable Guardian. She's funny, and the actress whose name I'm not attempting to pronounce, Palm Clementif, I think, Clementif, whatever, plays a pretty bubbly and fun Mantis, and her character arc is decent, even though there's not much of an arc there. Next is M'Baku. Although I want to be super biased and put him in great, M'Baku probably sits in front of Mantis in the good tier because there just hasn't been enough done with the character, but Winston Duke's portrayal is super hilarious, super cool. Maybe I'll put him above Drax. I don't know. No, okay. You know what? He sits below Drax, above Mantis, and above Korg in the good tier. Next is Nebula. Nebula, I think, will definitely be above Falcon and above Gamora because Karen Gillan's portrayal of the character is top quality, amazing, and her arc is so good and it's just so tragic. She's torn apart, taken piece by piece, turned into cybernetics because she constantly loses to Gamora, and the character does, and Karen Gillan does a really good job of showing that through her acting. So yeah, definitely great tier. Next is Nick Fury. Nick Fury. Sam Jackson is super cool as Nick Fury, but he doesn't do much. And his character arc is completely busted, almost busted, because of Captain Marvel's movie where he loses his eye because of a cat. Yeah, so I think Nick Fury sits above Groot, Drax, and M'Baku, but below Hawkeye and Loki. Next is Okoye. Okoye sits at the bottom of the good tier. Nothing much has been done with the character, and while she's cool, there's just not much to like about her. Yeah, she's badass. She uses a spear. I like spears, but you know, nothing much has been done with the character thus far. So she sits in the good tier. Quicksilver sits at the bottom of the entire MCU tier list because his powers, while they're freaking cool, this character was killed off in the same movie that he was introduced in, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's portrayal of the character was pretty forgettable. So yeah, sorry Quicksilver, I do like super speed, but yeah, you're at the bottom of the tier. Next is Rocket. Rocket I would put right below Gamora and Falcon in the great tier, an irreplaceable member of the Guardians. He goes through a pretty good arc, and he was pretty fun in Endgame. He might deserve to be above Falcon and Gamora, but I'm going to put him in the bottom of the great tier. He at least deserves the great tier. Next is Scarlet Witch. I think Scarlet Witch sits at the tippy top of the great tier, bordering on amazing and great. Her arc in Infinity War and Endgame was solid. The character being portrayed by Elizabeth Wilson was solid, and she almost kicked Thanos' ass. Completely badass. She even held him off with a fully completed gauntlet as she was trying to destroy her boyfriend. She was having a meltdown and she could still hold Thanos off. And the character herself, very interesting. I hope to see more of her, well written, so she is definitely at the tippy top of the great tier. Actually, I'd put her right under Black Widow. Yeah, right under Black Widow. Next is Shuri. Like Okoye, nothing has really been done with the character. She's just being portrayed as this super smart and sometimes funny character who hasn't done much. So and because of the terrible sneakers joke, she's under Korg. Yeah. You know what? Okay, above Korg. Above Korg. At least stop it. Okay, above Korg. Next to Spider-Man. A little bit of a controversial opinion. I do not super duper like Tom Holland's portrayal of the character. He always speaks in super high-pitched voices, like, "Oh my God, Mr. Stark! Oh my God, I need help!" So yeah, I think that might be a fault on the actor's part, but for what has been shown to us thus far, I do find his portrayal of Spider-Man pretty enjoyable, pretty funny. I will put him in the... I'll put him at, I think, in the great tier. I think there still needs to be more done with the character, and Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character of all time, but I still need to think they need to stop showing him as a noob and show him as a more experienced Spider-Man. Please, hopefully Far From Home will do that. So Spider-Man is in the great tier. Next is Star-Lord. Star-Lord, I'll put above Gamora, no, right under Gamora and above Rocket. He goes through a pretty arc. Chris Pratt does a good job of portraying his love for Gamora and his concern in Infinity War, but he done goofed in Infinity War. He's the reason why they all got dusted to begin with. Yeah, I know he was mad. I don't completely blame him for it, but Star-Lord, like the rest of the Guardians and Loki, generally comic relief character, but he does have more badass moments than most of the others, more of the other Guardians. Next is Thor. Okay, I wanted to put Thor above Chris Evans as Captain America, but I think he sits comfortably above Doctor Strange, but below Chris Evans, because I completely hated his arc in Endgame. I will not refute the fact that his arc was logical. Yes, it made sense. Gods can be depressed too, I think, right? And while his arc made sense, I didn't like it. They nerfed the character. He was so strong in Infinity War, but for some reason he was so much weaker in Endgame. And people do argue with me and say, hey, come on, Teague, it's because he was fat. Are you kidding me? That's your argument? Because he was fat? Wanda Maximoff can be fat, but she'll still have her powers. What does being overweight have to do with his powers? He is still an Asgardian. He is still the god of thunder, and he can still wield Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Also, the movie likes to forget that he can fly. He can fly, okay? There was only like one scene of him semi-flying in Endgame. But if you watch Infinity War, he was flying through ships and busting through ships. So he could have busted Thanos' ship if he wanted to. But Endgame could have been... Endgame was a little poorly written. It could have been done better. Whatever. Anyway, Valkyrie. Valkyrie, I do like Tessa Thompson's portrayal of the character. But like a lot of the other MCU characters, she just hasn't done much yet. So I would put Valkyrie, I would put her in front of M'Baku, but under Drax, Groot, Hawkeye, and Loki. Next is Vision. Okay, Vision was super cool in Age of Ultron, super cool in Civil War, but he was a total bitch in Infinity War. He was beaten by Corvus Glaive, who, need I remind you, was beaten by Okoye in Endgame in a really short throwaway scene that you might not have noticed until further inspection. So Vision sits, I would put him at the bottom of the good tier. The character arc is meh, nothing special. Next up is War Machine. War Machine, I would put him, I do like Don Cheadle's portrayal as the character, but like the rest, he hasn't done much. He does go through a pretty decent arc, so I would put him above Groot, Drax, and the rest of the characters because of the, the screen time. We've gotten to see more of him than most of the other characters here, and I do like War Machine. I do like Don Cheadle's portrayal. Next is Wasp. Now I do love Evangeline Lilly, so my opinion of her might be biased, but I think for what has been shown to us in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Endgame, she does have a small scene but doesn't have any dialogue. She's alright. I would put her probably here, right in front of Mantis, in front of Shuri, in front of Okoye. I hope to see more of the character. I think with future movies, if the Ant-Man movies are done better, Ant-Man the Wasp movies, she might elevate herself into the great tier. Next is the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier I put at the bottom of the amazing tier. Sebastian Stan does a top quality job of portraying the Winter Soldier, of portraying Bucky Barnes. I would not replace it with anyone else. His character arc is great, and he's pretty goddamn badass. So I put him there. Actually, if I put Scarlet Witch here, okay, because he's been shown more and he has had a more well-written arc, he's here. But if Wanda does have a pretty good story in WandaVision, it could possibly propel her to the amazing tier. But for now, Wanda sits comfortably here in the great tier under Black Widow. Next is Yondu. Yondu is definitely up there in the great tier. I would put him above Falcon, under Nebula, under Hulk, and above Gamora and Star-Lord because, dude, this character is so cool. He is portrayed so well by I forgot his name, Merle Dixon from The Walking Dead. I'm sorry, I can't remember the actor's name. Yeah, no, sorry, I can't remember his name. But he's got a great arc. He is such a great father to Star-Lord. Okay, not really the model dad, but he's a pretty good, what's the not role model. Okay, even role model's not really good. He's a good person to look, yeah, role model to Star-Lord, and his arc is good. He had a pretty good death. He was done justice in Guardians 2, and I actually did feel something when he died, so not bad. Okay, to wrap up the list is Wong. Wong's okay. I would put Wong at the bottom of the good tier. Just not enough has been shown for the character, but he is pretty useful, and I do like, I think the actor's name is Benedict Wong. I do like Benedict Wong's portrayal as the character. So that's my MCU tier list. Take one final good look at it. Okay, now if you have any opinions, do leave it in the comments. What's your MCU tier list? I'll leave this tier list in the description so you can make one of your own. And if you did like the video, do leave a like, subscribe, because it really helps out the channel. Thank you for watching. That's been the Teak Talk, and I'll see you next time. Peace.